आई थिंक कुछ बड़ी जो है वो चीज़ें जो इनकी गुफ्तगू में थी, वन ऑफ द थिंग्स, और ये सवाल हम अक्सर जब भी हमें से कोई यूरोप जाता है तो ये लाजमी पूछता है कि भाई यहाँ पर देखें कितना आसान है यहाँ पर जो है वो ट्रैवल करना, और कितना जो है वो एक मुल्क से दूसरे मुल्क जाना, सुबह आप एक मुल्क में होते हैं, शाम को दूसरे मुल्क में होते हैं, तो क्या हमारे रीजन में ऐसा हो सकता है या नहीं हो सकता? 70 years we are living in a very emotional heightened state, और ये सिर्फ हम नहीं रह रहे, इवन इंडिया के अंदर भी they have to make a choice कि जहाँ पर वहाँ पर जो लीडर्स हैं उनको एक इलेक्शन और डिप्लोमेसी के दरमियान जो है वो चूज करना पड़ता है, और वो आजकल हमारे वो लफ्ज़ चला हुआ है ना, लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड। तो आई थिंक वो डिप्लोमेसी के पास जब भी किसी के पास ये चॉइस आएगी कि आपने इलेक्शन जीतना है या आपने किसी मुल्क से डिप्लोमेसी करनी है, तो दे ऑलवेज गो फॉर इलेक्शंस। तो लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड जो है वो डिप्लोमेसी के पास जो है वो मुझे लगता है कि यहाँ पर नहीं है। अब ये कैसे हो सकती है, हमारे कुछ रिकमेंडेशन है वो हम दरमियान में उसका जिक्र करते रहेंगे, उनको डिस्कस भी करेंगे इंडिया के हवाले से, साथ के हवाले से। लेकिन उससे पहले मैं नदीम रियाज से जो है वो सुनना चाहता हूँ व्हाट ही हैज टू से ऑन दीज रिकमेंडेशंस जो हमने जो है वो दी हैं, कि क्या ये वे फॉरवर्ड होना चाहिए, इस पर इनका इनपुट क्या है, और फिर क्या ये इससे ज्यादा भी कुछ समझते हैं कि हमें इसके अलावा भी कुछ करने की जरूरत है इन ऑर्डर टू मूव अहेड इन द रीजन। So,
thank you very much. Thank you, Rahman sir. I will be concentrating basically on India, but before I go to the recommendations, I would just like to speak a little bit about the current situation which exists between Pakistan and India. Well, in a nutshell, I will just give you the bullet points, and then in the Q&A you can ask me any questions, and I will be more than willing to answer. Well, if you look at the current situation between Pakistan and India, we have downgraded our diplomatic relationship with India after the application of Article 370. There is no dialogue, there are no formal talks. Ceasefire is largely held along the NOC. The last contact between the Permanent Indus Commission was in 2022. Our bilateral trade is virtually non-existent. We have suspended trade in bus service. India, in the eyes of their foreign minister, terms Pakistan as a country which is not relevant. I repeat, not relevant. All disputes, including the Kashmir disputes, whether it is Siachen, whether it is Sir Creek, they are still on the table. Right? There is media mashing of both countries by both sides, whether it is Pakistan or India, there is media mashing which goes on. And then we have an issue of perceptions. India समझता है कि जो भी इंडिया के अंदर हो रहा है, Pakistan is a country which supports terrorism. Pakistan, on the other hand, says that whatever is happening within Pakistan, especially in Balochistan, that is done by India. Indian Ocean, Riyaz sahab spoke about it in the opener. It's a point of concern. It is an ocean which is increasingly becoming militarized and militarized. The region has abject poverty, over 30%. It is the region which has 1/4 of the world's population. The region has health issues. Minimal bilateral or trade within the region, which is called intra-regional trade, it is only about 26%. And the only regional organization, SAARC, is non-operational. So what is my analysis? The current situation which exists between Pakistan and India is damaging not only to the two countries, but it is also damaging for the region. But India is in no mood of negotiations. Very interestingly, it doesn't want to negotiate, but at the same time, it is not upping the ante. कोई इस वक्त conflict नहीं चल रहा जिसको active conflict कहते हैं. This year, elections are due in both countries, India as well as Pakistan. So obviously, we have to wait and watch closely the election results.
एक्चुअली बांग्लादेश के अंदर भी
बांग्लादेश के अंदर इलेक्शन हो गए हैं,
तीन मुल्कों के अंदर जो है वो, तीन साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज के अंदर दिस इज द इलेक्शन ईयर.
or as far as the abrogation of Article 370 is concerned, that has been upheld by the Indian government. Domicile laws आपको पता है उन्होंने introduce कर दिए हैं, which will eventually change the demography of IIMG. Now Pakistan, आपको भी मालूम है analysis में कि we have a weak economy, we have political and economic instability, and it is expected to continue even after the election, regardless of whichever party comes into power. India, if you want to talk to them, they are going to basically put down three demands, which are the three T's: terrorism, transit trade, and trade. Negotiations definitely are the way forward. But we should not negotiate from a position of weakness. Because if you negotiate from a position of weakness, the results will be against your national interest. And obviously, personal interaction between the new leadership after the elections is a possibility. It could be a possibility, but I don't think it's going to change the mainstream politics. Now, with this background and this analysis, what's the way forward? Well, we have to wait for the elections. Once the elections have taken place, we must state that we are for regional stability and peace. But again, what I said, we don't negotiate from a position of weakness. Internally, I think Pakistan has to decide what is the relationship it wants with India. And when I say it has to decide, everybody, including the establishment, has to decide. You cannot have a split between the politicians and the establishment because that will lead you nowhere. We have always looked at India from the eyes of a strategic enemy. I think we also have to look at India from the point of view of dealing with them in terms of trade. That's something which we must also factor into our forward thinking. So what could be the steps? Our diplomatic relations have been downgraded. We don't have high commissioners in either of the countries. So I think the first step would be restoration of full diplomatic ties. But it has to be done with a caveat. It has to be done simultaneously. We cannot do it first because that will be an indication of weakness. Simultaneously, restoration of full diplomatic ties. Step 2, we negotiate at the official level, which is at the level of the Foreign Office, which is the functional level. And we talk about visa liberalization, we talk about religious tourism, away from the media spotlights. You see, while the media gives you all the information, but many things cannot be done in front of the media. That's why all international organizations, and I've worked with many, they all have international retreats where you negotiate far away from the media to reach a solution. But to reach a solution, you need to have the political will. The key question is there going to be any political will in the Indians? And would there be enough political will in the new elected government in Pakistan to take the relationship forward? Step 3, which always is a good way of moving forward, it's the back channel diplomacy. And you talk about issues with academics, with think tanks, with the civil society. You take small steps, baby steps to build the confidence. And once the confidence is there, then you can start discussing various other things. I'm a very strong advocate of the Kashmir cause. Kashmir cannot be placed on the back burner. Kashmir is our juggernaut. We have to support the Kashmiris morally, diplomatically, and we have to take their cause forward. The only way forward are the UNSC resolutions, which call for a plebiscite.
Right.
Yes, we can start talking with India. We can start talking on issues which are of common concern, which General Raza so eloquently mentioned. Climate change, health, poverty, because it involves not only India, it involves all South Asian nations. Internally, we must integrate Gilgit-Baltistan almost immediately. I have said it at many forums and I'm going to say it again today, and please include it in your recommendations.
Right.
We need to have structural reforms in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Now, how do we take the Kashmir cause forward? You have to use the Kashmiri diaspora, which is from IIOJK. They can file cases against the atrocities being committed in India on their brothers and sisters. And they have to take the cause forward, but you have to do the handful. You have to support these people. At this point in time, one of the proposals which you had, which is the Musharraf 4-part formula, I don't think our relations with India at this point of time are at that stage where we can start talking about a 4-part formula sort of a thing. Right. Obviously, General Raza spoke about Hindutva. India is no more a secular country. Bollywood, their songs, everything clearly indicates it is Bharat.
There is another movie coming, I think. जिसका आजकल सोशल मीडिया में बहुत ज़्यादा बात हो रही है on the Republic Day.
So, India is no more a secular country, and it's not only against the Muslims, it's against the Christians, it's against the Sikhs, it's against the Hindus. And if you've been following the international news, a country accused not only by one country, but by the intelligence agencies of 5 countries for killing a Sikh on foreign soil. Yes, trade is important, but I think we must do an in-depth analysis whether trade with India opening will be beneficial to us or not. Because the basic thing is the way our economy is, the balance of trade will always be in their favor. So I think before we talk about opening of trade, we must do an in-depth analysis, completely detached from the strategic perspective, totally trade focused. ठीक है जी? And then, obviously, the Indians are very good at constructing a narrative against Pakistan. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and please include it in your recommendation. First, deconstruct the Indian narrative. Deconstruct it, and then reconstruct your own narrative, countering the Indian narrative. And you know, producing movies by ISPR and producing songs by ISPR may sell nationally, but they don't sell internationally. Your audience is not Pakistan. Your audience is the world. You actually require support from the world. And that is what you actually need. I completely am for revitalizing SAARC. And honestly speaking, personally I feel, I don't know what the panel feels, I don't think you'll ever have a SAARC summit in Pakistan. So the best thing is simply try to say that all SAARC summits henceforth should be held in Kathmandu. Everybody will participate.
Right.
Because that will be on a territory which is neither Pakistan nor India. And the last word which I want to say is, normalization is a long process. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years are nothing in the life of a nation. We should not compromise on our basic national interest. Politicians will come and go. Military rulers will come and go. Generals will come and go. Pakistan is there to stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.